Hello, everybody. Welcome to Soccer Talk here at Top Football Club with my man Laurent Cortines. Welcome to the show brought to you by TopFCNews.com. We are live on the YouTube channel, also on the website. And of course, you can listen to all these episodes on demand, either on the website or all your favorite listening platforms. Again, visit TopFCNews.com. Laurent, what's going on, man? Yep. I saw that. L- look at, l- but listen, look at you. Look at you going to see Manchester United. There's something in there that, maybe a fan inside, Yeah. How is Ryan Reynolds a football fan? Like, how? Just put some money into it. Right. Yeah. It was a beatdown. All right. Well, I agree with you because, I mean, obviously, people want to see the best players out there because they don't get to see them for. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of well. I mean, they lost. So was it a lesson learned? I don't know because it's a preseason game, but Manchester United should. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're good. No, we're and we're definitely and we're definitely gonna dive into those friendlies, club friendlies, because there's a oh, what happened there? We got him getting some audio. Anyways, okay, so let me see real quick. For some reason, we're not able to hear you. For some odd reason, let me see. Let me see something real quick. Let me just do something real quick that might fix this.
Test. Do you hear me? Yes, no, no, yes.
All right, I think
yes, no.
Let's see.
You heard me, then didn't. Do you hear me? Yes, no, no, yes.
Yep. Actually, I think you're good now.
Good.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to hear you through all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Oh, through all of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was talking. I could go through it again. It's no problem.
But we were talking about the. Go ahead. Yeah, but the Wrexham in Manchester United actually.
Yeah, really is just about Manchester United really disrespecting their fans. My friend John drove 2.5 hours with his son. He was wearing his Casemiro shirt, and not one recognizable player from Man United played.
Did you guys meet up there?
Yeah, he came to my house. It was cool. You know, it was great to see him.
Honestly,
it was cool. But I think if you think,
I would be pissed off if I went to a game like that, because I was actually going to go to Real Madrid versus Barcelona this weekend,
in Houston,
and I was going to drive there and go watch. Imagine if they wouldn't. I mean, I would be upset. You know, if I had to drive 8 hours.
Yeah, if it became the Castilla, you'd be livid.
Yeah, and I'd be upset. That's a fact.
Yeah. It was pretty fucked up. He was upset the whole time, and then to rub salt in the wounds, this guy was sitting next to my friend John. Shout out to John.
That's a fact.
Who was a single guy on his own, probably in his late 50s, wearing a tattered Wrexham shirt, drinking beer after beer. He had a tattoo of Wrexham on his calf, and he was like a proper English fan, and he was just cursing United and yelling, and just like really angry because he was following Wrexham. This is his holiday. He's going with Wrexham around the States, and he's just going to games and cursing out the opponents. Because once Paul Mullen got hurt, he was super pissed because he was like, "You fucking," all the curse words, all the nastiness. He's like, Americans asking, "Oh, where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from Wrexham." I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." So,
all right. Well, we're going to be talking about these club friendlies later on, and we're going to dive into because awesome. There are many games, and I really like it. I like when they come here. Of course, I'm biased, but it's pretty entertaining. Now, let's start with the Women's World Cup, and man, it was really entertaining. Well, game yesterday between the U.S. and Netherlands.
If I failed to mention that I thought that this would be a tough game, I should have, because it was a tough
Netherlands
game.
was,
and the U.S. had
they were up for it. Time. And a lot of people are criticizing now, the U.S. team. And I mean, other teams have leveled up. I mean, you can't expect to run over every single team. You know what I'm saying?
I think the thing that makes it difficult. The reason the U.S. is good is the reason why they'll always have a hard time. They're so much better athletically than these other teams. That makes it difficult in the chat with someone or sharing. I shared on Kartik Krishnar's Substack. He does the World Soccer Talk, and we sort of both agreed. When you watch the U.S. women, it feels like they're all 3 inches taller, 5 yards faster, and 10 pounds heavier than their opponents. So it's natural to be like, why am I trying to play football against these women? I don't need to. We're just going to overpower you. And when you see Lindsey Horan, who literally is a foot taller than half the players she's against, or you see Rodman, or you see I forget is it Cher? I can't remember all their names, but you see the full U.S. team. They're just so much bigger and so much faster that they get played around. Yes, the Dutch, shockingly, in the midfield, played through the U.S. Yes, they had more possession. Yes, they hit the U.S. on the break, and the U.S. have a hard time being creative. But the power of the U.S. is going to be one of these girls who's got the ball and is ticky-tacking around the box, is going to run into Julie Ertz, who's just going to take the ball off her, and hoof it upfield. And one of our super fast wingers, Crystal Dunn, will get on the ball, or Rodman, or Sophia Smith, they're just going to run past people and score goals because that's what we can do. So our strength is always going to be our weakness, right? We're like, I made the analogy and he agreed with me. It's like the U.S. is Mourinho's Inter, and the rest of the world is trying to be Pep's Barcelona. And you know what? If you remember correctly, Mourinho's Inter won the treble and won a Champions League.
That's right.
So that's just who we are. And I think in some sense, Americans have to accept that we're not Jogo Bonita. We're bigger, stronger, faster, and we don't have to play that way. We play the way we play. Yeah. And it's always going to look rough, and it's always going to look messy, and it's always going to look nasty. And I really enjoyed the physicality. Like, I love Lindsey Horan. She just reminds me of Yaya Toure running through and destroying people.
No, she was definitely great. She's become one of the best players of this team.
Well, she's the captain.
Yeah, and she had the attitude and the fortitude of going after the player that actually deserve it, because that was a really really lame play. Yeah, could have really injured her.
Yeah, it was.
So
and it didn't, and no card either. No card.
Exactly.
Just battered her.
You know, and that's one of those things I don't understand about VAR, because if you see a play like that, you need to stop the game, and that's a yellow card, whatever it is, because
but
you know, they
could have broke her leg.
Exactly.
Easy.
That's either she didn't mean to, but she was. When you're that stupid to make those fouls, you need to be punished for that. No, seriously.
Or at least a yellow, you know, and then it just got out of hand. They get into a fight just before the cross comes in.
Yeah,
a little pushing, a little shoving, and then Horan just smashes it in with
right
anger.
After,
and
right
after. Like, oh, this is so good. It was so good. And then again, the other piece was Rose Lavelle. I cannot talk about her enough. I love her. She's fantastic. She's the one classy player on the team. The left foot is sweet. The touches are fantastic. The ball's in the box, the control, everything about Lavelle is what makes this team run.
Yeah.
She's essentially, she could play the role of Messi in the Argentina team, if you know what I mean. Like, runners who work for the rest of the team. And if we can just and if the U.S. women's national team can get the ball to Lavelle, we'll score goals. But the second half was much better. And what I liked that I saw, especially in the second half, was Alex Morgan trying to, like, the U.S. was getting dominated in the midfield. When Morgan started dropping deep and sort of moving their defensive line out of shape and letting those really fast wingers run in behind, she started playing the way Harry Kane plays to Kulusevski or Heung-min Son, and really opened things up. And you saw Rodman and Smith really get in behind it and start trouble. The U.S. will take it as a shot and be worried.
They had that one play by what's her name, Morgan, and man, she's such a good striker, man. Because that pass, even though she was offside, all she made is one touch, and it was really nice the way she scored. But man, she was just a little bit offside, or else we could have gotten that win. And I mean, listen, man, it's just a 1-1 draw. We don't have to be dramatic, and all of a sudden we're the worst team. I read
the U.S. now has to win.
I read the chat. I read the chat is full of drama queens, man. They just like suffer. And I get fans are like that. You know, when you're a fan, you just lose it over everything. You gotta just relax. I mean, Netherlands is not a bad team. It's not a bad team. Nope. So you just gotta. Nope. It is what it is. Now the next game again, you know, you got to come and take care of business. That's the bottom line, and that's when you're going to choose. Yeah. You're going to show whether you're made up for this or not. At the end of the day, you know, that's what it comes down to. You can't just.
Oh, I mean, if the U.S. lose to Portugal, they're out.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's it. It's a must-win game.
They have to show their personality, and I mean, we have players that they can definitely do that. Now, the other matches really turned out interesting. Nigeria beating Matildas, Australia, and really showing them, you know, coming out of nowhere. A lot of people are excited, of course, because Nigeria was running as the one to lose. Of course, they didn't, and they stunned the hosts. Yep. So that was a good.
But this is one of those things that I think is different. This is what I was talking about before the Women's World Cup started. One of the things that's different about this is, it was mistakes. So not mistakes, but this is one of those caliber of player, what you think is going to be a goal when you watch men's football versus women's football. The keeper for Australia, she just had a bad game, and goals went in under her, goals trickled in, defenses running into each other. So it was not a great moment for her. And I think her name is, I want to call her out, Mackenzie Arnold. She just had a tough game. And the defense, like watching the defensive line, they were never with each other. They just started, as they were falling behind, they sort of lost their composure, because the Matildas, they went up first from Van Egmond in extra time. But then Nigeria got one back, so they go into the half. Kanu scores a goal. They go into the half level, and then in the second half, they score 2 more, and Nigeria takes a 2-1 lead, even though Alana Kennedy pulled one back late. It's a big loss for Australia, and they're going to feel like, man, if we only had Sam Kerr, we wouldn't be in this position. So now they face a must-win. Hopefully Kerr can come back. They dominated the game. They took 28 shots, 64% possession. They took the game to Nigeria, but again, it's that goalkeeper position. It's that level of play. You can't give up cheap goals. You're going to lose, right? You start to increase the randomness of loss if your keeper doesn't help you out and bail you out.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with that group as well. And now going with the rest of the team. Now, Portugal, of course, went past Vietnam. That was kind of, what would have been expected.
Yeah.
And by the way, did you hear about Caicedo from Colombia? She scored a goal against the last match that they played, and she was actually having chest pains, severe chest pains during training. God. And
Jesus Christ.
And then she was, it turned out to be okay, and she just continued to train, and everything was good. But I wonder what's going on. Of course, we heard about what happened with LeBron James' son, young player, and you wonder, like, this stuff is starting to happen a lot with athletes and younger people, and you wonder what really is happening. You think it has something to do.
Yep.
A lot of people say, the COVID shot.
We can't talk about it because we get in trouble.
Yeah.
Here's how I've brought it up. Right. The way I think about it is I don't know. Right. There's a couple things in line here. One, this could have been happening all the time. And because it's happening in the context of the world we're in, we're lifting them up in social media. So we know about every single one now. So that's one. It's a confirmation bias. Right. We're seeing it more often because we're looking for it. Two, could be the vaccine. And everyone says, yes, it's fine. But the institutional distrust that has gone on has hampered that. I personally have 3 shots, but I wouldn't get a 4th one.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so that's,
I get your point.
I mean, that's just what's happened, just me, right? The other one is it could be COVID itself, because COVID does do things to people's hearts,
that's
right?
True, that's
so
true.
Could be the vaccine by itself. It could be COVID by itself. And it could be COVID and the vaccine.
And a lot of people say, that actually, I was saying, reading about doctors, they were saying, and COVID has greater risk on the heart than the vaccine itself. So, I mean, we just don't know. But regardless,
we don't know.
You're starting to see this a lot.
There's one third one. The third one is how much damage the vaccine did to people's spirit, to their bodies, to all that time being locked down. So it's that combination of stress, depression, all of it mixed together that we don't know.
Yeah.
But we do know that it has something to do with COVID era time that is sort of messed with us as a society.
Yeah. No, that
and I
is
hope,
true.
I mean, that LeBron thing is so fucking upsetting. Like, it's just like LeBron has been hanging on just to play with his sons, basically. Right. He has nothing else to prove. He's trying to play with his boy, and now his boy may never play again if we have a bad result, right?
Yeah,
so, sad and scary.
All right. Well,
I'm glad Caicedo's doing fine. She's no Moises Caicedo because Brighton,
right?
Brighton.
No.
But she is a Caicedo, so we root for the Caicedos as a group.
So the next matches coming up are going to be Argentina, South Africa. That's going to be interesting. Argentina is not that good in women's soccer, so you will have to see really how that goes. South Africa, about the same. So this should be a winnable game for Argentina. Really, that's what they're looking for, is to win a game in the World Cup. And also the next match that's going to be really interesting is going to be England versus Denmark. I think that's really going to be a match that people are going to look forward to. Yeah, big game. They really have to come out. Big
game for England.
Exactly, because they.
I think
what happened with the last one? Did they lose or a tie?
They beat Haiti, but they only won 1-0.
Okay, yeah. So it was the performance that really people expected more.
Yes.
And then China against Haiti.
They could come out and blow the door. They could come out and blow the doors, and everyone will be fine.
That's what, again, that's what people are expecting. Kind of, England and the U.S. go hand in hand somehow. It seems like
it's the fandom. We kind of they're always panicked near death, and we our cousins, they feel the same way. The team that I want to call out though, Spain, 8 goals for, 0 against, just a dominant dominant performance in both games so far, beating Panama. Sorry. I got it wrong. Beating Zambia 5-0 and beating Costa Rica 3-0. Their big game will be against Japan, but it's a dead rubber because they're already through. So they don't even have to play their starters against Japan.
They beat our girl.
Japan also. Yeah. Japan also 2-0.
They beat our friend Barbara Bendo.
Barbara Benda. Yeah, it didn't make a difference.
But people killed us over that. But anyways, but Spain is actually.
I think we didn't. They just read the headline. We didn't say anything.
Yeah. No. That video went viral. By the way, you can look it up on the Top Football Club YouTube channel. And I was going to say Spain is actually the one team that's looking like they're going to win the World Cup. I mean, just from the few games that we've seen, if you had to pick one, you really had to pick Germany. But Germany played against a really weak team, I would say.
Well, I mean, Spain hasn't played anyone yet either, but they're just so grooved. You assume that all those Barcelona players that play for Spain will come together. You assume that the coaching issue that they had, where La Quinceañera, the 15 players who wanted to leave the team, didn't get in trouble. Of course, the whole team is made up, just like in Spain. Half the team is Real Madrid, half the team is Barcelona, which is hilarious. There's 2 Atletico Madrids, 1 athletic club, and then 1 Manchester United player. And so there's that kind of weird stuff that goes on. But
could be what happened in 2010 when it was based by a lot of Barcelona players. The only one that was missing was Messi. So
yeah. But they replaced him with David Villa. It was kind of the same thing. So I mean, it's going to chalk. I mean, by the end of the week, we'll be done with the round, and we'll start to get into the good stuff when the heroes are really born. Right, quarterfinals, knockout rounds, penalties, all the good stuff will happen. The Women's World Cup will really take off. We can get like a big performance. What happens to the U.S.? Who do they face? You want them to finish in first place, because if they finish in second in their group, then they get Sweden, who are a perennial good team. I mean, all the Nordic countries, even if they're down in a certain group, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, they have such equity in their sports that they're kind of on a level playing field in terms of funding. So if they have good players in those countries, they will find them. Unlike, some of the other countries where there's just no funding, people fighting about who gets paid. Like I talked about that with Nigeria. The players haven't been paid. They have this amazing coach who's fighting for them to get their money, but it's still tough.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the club friendly matches, man. We had a lot of matches, and we really haven't talked much about how the teams are looking up on this preseason. I will say, of course, I watched a bunch of them. I watched Real Madrid play against. I didn't watch them against Manchester United. That was
Jude Bellingham. He's a beast.
He's becoming. He's
so
really.
Good.
He's really becoming good. Jude Bellingham is really becoming quickly that player obviously for Real Madrid now, but he's been that player that everybody's been talking about at Dortmund, kind of like in Europe, they've been talking about him. And of course, when he goes to Real Madrid, it's like,
it's another level.
It's another level. And to see him play with ease, like he's at ease when he's playing. Yep. I don't even know what he plays. Mature. I don't even know what he plays. He's almost like a forward at times.
He's kind of playing like he's playing a box to box kind of.
Yeah, he's going back and forth.
That goes deep
and kind of like Zidane. You remember
he's got that?
Yeah. And so I think now that England, I don't know when the last time England had a star with like this future.
An English player playing at Real Madrid
doesn't really happen.
Bizarre. It doesn't really happen. There was 2 that I can think of off the top of my head is Beckham and Steve McManaman. McManaman was sort of won the Champions League. He was there in that Galacticos era because he kind of was an outlier. I actually saw him in '96 playing for England. An incredible dribbly kind of player. Didn't have a great sort of finishing, but Steve McManaman was a great player. Took to the culture, learned Spanish, loved being in Spain. And then, of course, Beckham, we know all about. He was there as well.
Even though he wasn't the David Beckham, the Manchester United, the one that played for Manchester United, I enjoyed. I was really young, but I don't think Madridistas are going to tell you that they hated Beckham. I think they're he was special. But I think he lived in the hotel forever. He was special, definitely.
Yeah. I think the thing with that era of player for Real Madrid was Beckham, I think, was more famous than good as a player. Like, he was a worker, he was good on free kicks, he could make a pass, but I would never put him in like he was never as good as Jude Bellingham. Sorry, United fans, but he was a world superstar. He mattered culturally. He was big, and he always worked hard. Like, he always put in a shift. You never felt like he was mailing it in, but he wasn't a particularly good athlete. He wasn't particularly fast. You know, he didn't have like flair on the field aside from, you know, a free kick here or there. But yeah, a great player. But Bellingham is something else. For a 20-year-old Englishman to be on that team, to have the maturity. He had a little bit of a spat with Lisandro Martinez, who we call the butcher of Old Trafford. Came in hard on a foul. There was a little bit of a push. They talked about it after the game, and he was like, all good. He said, I'm sorry, have a good season. This is part of football. Bellingham is super mature. So if I take my nerd core back, I used to watch him in the championship when he was at Birmingham City, and he was 16 years old. He had the size, but hadn't filled out. He could never see him. He could never fill out his shirt, but you could see it. He was playing at 16 against men.
Right.
I mean, the championship in England is a really good league. I mean, it's about, you know, it's probably, you know, it's as competitive as any league. Maybe not in terms of skill, but in terms of fight and effort and how many games, and it's a grind. It's a real tough league where 16-year-old boys don't play unless they're good. And so to have him go to Dortmund from there and have that sort of growth is just incredible.
So another match that caught my eye was Manchester City Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich losing to the City 2-1. What did you think about that game?
No problem.
I mean, it was a no problem, but I mean, I wouldn't say that this would happen in the Champions League per se. I think this is, of course, a preseason.
City did beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that every year Manchester City goes to Bayern Munich. I want that team. I think they'd rather play against Wrexham.
No. I mean, I think, you know, City have been playing the kids. There's a little bit of disruption in the side. I think the key things for City were to see Rico Lewis and Kovacic continue to play. McAtee in the middle. City have a good academy that I think is finally going to fruition. If you don't know this, the guys that run City, Chiki Guberstan and Ferran Torres and Ferran, I forget his first name. His last name is Ferran.
Oh no. Anyways, I lost Laurent right there for a second, and we'll get him back pretty soon. Sorry about that. And we were talking about the friendly matches, and again, one of the matches that caught my eye was definitely Bayern Munich against Manchester City. That was a good match, and you know, we'll see. Again, I don't think that Manchester City, you know, is looking for like a team like Bayern Munich and say, yeah, we're going to beat them. I don't think that that's happening, but it is true what Laurent said, and that Manchester City did beat Bayern Munich pretty easy yesterday, even though it was a 2-1 match. You know, as far as results, it didn't end up, you know, being a really big result. And of course, Tottenham played against Lion City Sailors in Singapore, and they beat them 5-1. Really, these matches are, you know, sometimes they show some things, but a lot of times they don't. They really don't. You know what I mean? This match between Tottenham and Lion City, it's not a match that you really would look forward to and really judge how Tottenham is doing right now. Actually, I think they lost their previous match, a friendly match, and so then, of course, you have a lot of friendlies, and that are happening. You know, that happened today, that are going to continue to happen. PSV Eindhoven beat FC Eindhoven 3-1. That's the team that Pepe plays for. Now Roma tied against Braga 1-1. And really, a lot of teams right now doing their preseason work. Now, one of the biggest matches, of course, last night was Chelsea 1-1 versus Newcastle. That was really a really good match. I was excited to watch it. And I will be honest with you, even though it was 1-1, I really liked Chelsea. I think the Chelsea side was really engaged. Of course, you got Pochettino, who is really in depth into his team's, really intense, really talking all the time. And there was a moment right there where the cameras caught him and Pochettino was going nonstop at the team, just in general, really doing everything, always staying focused, always keeping them in check, and that was really good. But Newcastle United also, you got to give it to them. They're really a team that is really just built well, and they're really going to be protagonists in this Premier League. I do see that. I definitely see them again. Actually, in a few in matches before, I saw and I said that I think Newcastle is going to be a contender for the Premier League title, and I think they're going to qualify for the Champions League. So I got Laurent again. What's up, my brother? I lost you. Something happened, but
where was I?
But we're talking about the friendly matches, of course, and I mentioned Tottenham winning 5-1 against Lion City. Again, you can't judge the Spurs on that match, or can't say that they're the greatest because they won 5-1 really against Lion City. It's pretty weak. But now I was talking about the Chelsea Newcastle. I really liked that match. I really did. It was really good.
Good, two really good teams. Really good.
And I was saying, and I again say it. I'm going to say it in this episode. I do believe that Newcastle is going to be in the top 5, going to the Champions League, and I think they're gonna be contender, man. The way I saw them yesterday, they weren't scared of Chelsea. They were bringing it to them, and Chelsea also. I will say that. I mean, I see a lot of improvement with Pochettino in hand. He's intense, always talking to the players, always making. And I was like, at one point, I was in my head like, chill out, dude. It's a friendly game. But then again, this is what he needs to do to get his team right.
Pochettino is an incredible coach, and to forget what he did with Spurs is kind of silly. It's the striker that they brought in. Is it Williams? I can't remember his name. The Ghanaian striker who's doing so many runs in between. No, not Nkunku. The center forward. I can't remember his name, but he was really fantastic and just getting in behind, scoring goals, setting things up. Really clinical, really relaxed in front of goal. I'm going to look at it right now. And he scored, I think, 3 or 4 already. Scored a bunch against Leicester, against Wrexham when they played in Carolina. Just a great player who they found and didn't pay over the odds for. It was just a regular amount, 40 million, 50 million. Nicholas Jackson, that's his name. Sounds like a very American name, but Nico Jackson came from Villarreal, or the other one. I looked him up, and he had scored a lot of goals down the stretch of last season, and they bought him for a reasonable amount. And really, Villarreal, and really has shown good form. And I think that Pochettino likes him, and they'll go with him if he's going to play. The other one is Ian Maatsen, came from Burnley, was on loan to Burnley with company. He's also really good. I stay abreast very much of the English game, so I know what's going on in the Championship. Maatsen was a great player. He's back with Chelsea. Chelsea still probably have 5 players too many. Maybe. I think they have 30 in the squad still, even though they've already gotten rid of 12.
They got rid of a lot of players. A lot, players.
But they still have more to go. Like, I think Metsu just went. So a lot of players that were brought over in that first Bowley period, that poor Graham Potter had to deal with, they're sort of slowly going out. And if anyone remembers Pochettino with Spurs, he really controls the whole club. Like, he'll wrest control from Bowley and be like, this is how we're doing it. Because if you don't know his story, he's very much a Bielsa acolyte. played for Bielsa under New Old Boys, stuck with Bielsa when he was on a national team for Argentina. So he's very much a Bielsa guy. And if you remember, Bielsa is an iconoclast. He does things his way. And if you don't do it, he leaves. Like famously, he was at the club Lille for a week, and he was like, "I don't like what's going on. I'm leaving. Adios." So he's very much in that mold, and he will control everything.
Yeah, he was definitely definitely at it, getting his team right, and we're definitely going to see great Chelsea games, I think, and definitely great Newcastle United games coming up.
It is gonna be. Listen,
it's gonna be tight. The Premier League is gonna be tight.
Good teams in the Premier League, really good teams.
It's gonna be tight,
including my beloved Brighton, who on the Squeaky Bum Time podcast I predicted as a 4th place finisher.
Okay, we're gonna come with predictions on this show that people are gonna be held accountable at the end of the season. Somebody's gonna
be held accountable.
Somebody's gonna lose their job. I'm telling you.
I will tell you who I had in my top 4 as of July 25th. Okay, I'll just reveal for the show. Ready?
Okay.
I had Arsenal, City, I think Liverpool, and Brighton.
No,
those are my top 4.
I'm gonna give you mine when we do the show. We talk about that. Now,
listen, the only one that's insane is Brighton, right? The other 3 are fine. That's not that weird.
Well, I would put Newcastle up there. I would. But anyways, Arsenal versus Barcelona. That was one hell of a match.
Fun.
One hell of a match. Now we got to talk about Xhaka, and we got to work real hard with those penalties because we got to make one eventually. But
I know.
But regardless, and I thought that penalty in the Euro final was unfair for him to be put through that. But regardless, Arsenal 5, Barcelona 3. It was a really good match. I mean, Barcelona does. I like what I saw, but Arsenal, man, right now everybody is in tune, happy. It seems like they want to be there. Of course, they want to be there, and just players are fighting for a spot.
It was a dominant performance.
Yeah.
Dominant performance. Yeah. And here's the thing, and you're seeing it again from Arteta copying Pep. What does he put in the back line? He's got 4 center backs. He's got Ben White, who was a center back and was played right back all season, Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber at left back. He's taking that thing of Ake would played left back just like City. So that hyper ball playing center back who might be too small to play center back, he's putting a ball player as a fullback. And I wonder if that's something he wants to do. We saw the 2 8s, like I said, Odegaard and Havertz. Havertz did have a goal. And then the front line of Xhaka, Gabriel Jesus, and Trossard. Trossard, again, you want to make fun of me, from Brighton, an incredible player that I think people didn't realize how good he was, but he's a great finisher. If he gets anywhere near the box, he has all the finishes, right? He's kind of slow, but very tricky. Outside of the boot, right foot, left foot. He'll try weird shots, and he scored 2 goals coming off the left side. And Vieira with the final goal was fantastic. A really, really good strike. Fabio Vieira, I think, still a little too skinny to play in the Premier League, just my opinion, especially if he's going to be in the middle of the park. But still a good performance. The thing that struck me, and I'll let you talk because, I like to talk too much, is Barca won La Liga last year because they only gave up 12 goals. And they gave up 5. That would have been a third of all the goals they gave up in La Liga last year. And they did play that they're, Araujo in the back with Christensen, but they shouldn't be giving up goals like that. That's not.
Well, in fairness, this is their first match. Everybody has been playing.
Fair enough.
In training, they had a bug too.
Right, and they were sick, right? They had the virus.
So I don't know if everybody's 100% or played 100% really. And so I give them that, but they're the last champions, so you got to give them their respect. And they have the talent, young talent. So Balde, tremendous on the left in the left back, and a lot of players and veterans like Lewandowski, who's going to score you 25 goals a season guaranteed. So you know what I'm saying. I mean, I think in the Champions League, if these guys ever meet, it would be a different matchup against again similar to Bayern Munich, Manchester City. So. These are just matches that everybody loves to see. Really, a lot of goals, a lot of Arsenal fans in the U.S. Man, definitely a lot of Barcelona fans.
A lot,
but
a lot. Yeah,
just a lot of fans from each club. But I think Arsenal overtook Barcelona fans last night, and I was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Now every
I think
now every when Real Madrid plays, everything is white, man.
They have a lot of fans. I think the funny thing is that happens with some of these events is just people that are just regular soccer fans of any type in the US show up. So you'll go to a game for one of these soccer series things, and a guy will show up wearing an AC Milan shirt. A guy will go to an Arsenal game with a freaking Messi shirt with a Spurs hat on, or they'll wear any shirt. They just feel like they have to participate. They don't quite get sucked into the cultural norms that us hardcore fans who are less like, you can change your wife, you can change your job, you can change your life, you can almost get rid of your kids, but you can't change your team. They don't think that way at all.
Yeah.
Right. So, you see Arsenal fans there that are wearing like 10, 15-year-old shirts, or they're wearing whatever. The Barca fans are all Latino, and the Arsenal fans are all the hipster white kids who go to the games. I'm just kidding around.
No.
But Barca hasn't been here that often. I think that's one of the things. They did play their players, to go back to that Manchester United point. These teams only come to the States once every 3 years or 4 years. And if you're going to gyp people, that's messed up. And I thought it was cool of Barca to play the big boys. And I think
after being sick,
Barca understands what it means.
After being sick, you know what I'm saying? You got to give the fans the respect. They're paying a lot for that for Real Madrid, Barcelona. I mean, if you want to sit in the front, you got to pay $2,000. So, you know what I'm saying?
But not only that, people make their whole holidays about it, right? They go to LA, they fly across from South America to see Barcelona. Like, if you think about it, when Barcelona comes to the US, that's a signal to every Latin American person who has the lucky enough to have the wherewithal to, we're going to go on vacation, we're going to go to Los Angeles, we're going to go see Barcelona. And they're coming from Cartagena, they're coming from Lima, they're coming from Quito, they're coming from wherever they can. They don't, because those Barcelona doesn't go play in Brazil, right? They don't go play in Quito, they don't go play in Costa Rica, right? You want to see these teams, you got to go to the US when they come.
Because it's about money, and they don't pay dollars down there. So they only pay dollars over here. Anyways, let's move on quickly, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So, what do you think about Spurs' Joe Louis facing jail time after being accused of insider trading?
Well, first of all, he's silent. Spurs fans don't know that there's an actual primary owner outside of Levy. Levy runs the club and owns 20% with Joe Louis. Joe Louis has been the silent owner, been living in the Cayman Islands. He's in his 80s. He's kind of just the silent owner. He's worth like $7 billion. And now we know how he made those $7 billion by cheating on business deals. I don't think that this is unusual. I think that this happens all the time.
Now, do you think
they got caught?
Do you think this affects the Spurs in any shape or form?
No,
they shouldn't, right?
No,
I mean,
no, because from what I understand, Joe Louis actually put Spurs in a trust, so he is no longer the actual active owner on the chairmanship. There's a trust that he put his shares of the team in, so it's not even his connection anymore. So it should not affect the team at all. We know that that Levy runs the team as a break-even for-profit motive. They do have a lot of debt because they built that amazing stadium, which it just happened to open during COVID, which sucked for them, but they've still got all those NFL games. They are the preferred partner for the NFL when they come to England. So this money is going to come in. They really probably need to make that Kane sale just to make sure they don't get stuck with him. I think there was some story that Louis said to Levy, you have to sell him. I think that's bullshit.
That's
because Louis has never said anything, and all of a sudden we have this story that comes out of nowhere. I don't buy that at all. I think it's more, Levy has a price. He knows he doesn't have to sell Kane, and he'll only sell him when the money comes to be the number that he wants. Well, he's going to handcuff the team until he gets it.
Well, Bayern Munich is supposedly preparing for a bigger offer now, and are hopeful of completing the move for Harry Kane in the next few days. Everything is looking like he will go to Bayern Munich, and we've been talking about this for a long time, and of course,
it'll go down to the end.
I think it'll go down
to August 31st.
Yeah, and this might,
and then Spurs will be screwed and won't have a striker. because they'll sell him and not buy a player.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think, hey, Levy and Spurs fans, you ready? Here's what I want to do. Take the 80 million and take with Sadio Mane. Perfect deal.
You keep saying that.
Right? This is a genius deal. Then you put Son in the middle and you just go with it. You let Maddison run the show. Sadio Mane can do it. He can press. He can score goals. He knows the Premier League. Then it's a win-win. I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah.
This is why I need to be running Spurs.
Now, on another subject, Jordan Henderson completes his move to ETTIFAQ. And what are your final thoughts on that, man? I mean, England international, we'll see if he keeps beating Southgate. Still likes him. We don't know.
He's 33 years old, and he was playing for Liverpool. He's cooked.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Southgate. I don't know if Southgate is going to stop calling them. At least he's going to give him a shot for the next few matches, right?
If I think about England's best 11, it does not include Henderson, because I would have Bellingham and Rice would be automatic, right?
Okay.
And then the other midfielder, because they play a 4-3-3, would be Mason Mount. Why am I playing freaking Henderson if I already have
I'm not
Rice?
playing Mount over Henderson. You got that you're out of pocket for that one.
Okay, that's fine. And then up front, you have Kane, Foden, Grealish, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty clear. And then at the back,
there's one spot.
It's Walker.
But he's the captain.
Yeah.
Well, Kane is captain, but
Kane is the captain, right?
But I mean,
I just think time rolls on, right?
At 33, there's no way.
From England, the team's too good. They don't need him.
Well, I don't believe this.
And then you think about you think about guys like Maddison. You think about all these other midfielders. Phillips, that he could have a bounce back season. He could take Phillips' spot. I mean, Phillips could take his spot easy if he plays a lot. Like, there are guys that Southgate really likes. First of all, Southgate's not a good coach.
He's the one in charge.
He's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I know.
He's the one.
He's just awful. Yeah, I just don't. I don't think that going to Saudi Arabia for Henderson.
Well, I'm sure he knew.
It's an offer he can't refuse. It's $700,000 a week. I mean, or whatever, $800,000 a week, which is a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll see what happens with that. Just some honorable mentions. Borussia Monchengladbach defender Stefan Lainer is diagnosed with cancer, and Bundesliga confirms that Bundesliga club, Borussia, confirmed that he is set to be sidelined for several months after undergoing treatment. So, from this small podcast, just positive vibes. You know what I mean? Young people can get this. So always try to take care of yourself. I mean, not that will prevent anything. Things are going to happen if they have to, but just try to take care of yourselves. And Isco signs a 1-year deal with Real Betis. He played for Sevilla, and then now he's going to the rivals. So we'll see what happens with him.
Real Betis, that's Pellegrino, right?
Yeah.
Pellegrini.
Yeah.
He had Isco,
former Manchester United, Manchester City.
He wanted him to go to Manchester City. He had Isco when he was at Malaga, and if you remember the famous game, Malaga were in the Champions League quarterfinal in 2011 when Borussia Dortmund beat Malaga on a goal line clearance that, if we had VAR, would not be a goal, that allowed Dortmund and Jurgen Klopp to go to that all-German final against Bayern Munich that they lost to with Goetze scoring a goal.
Yeah. Now,
these are stupid things. These are stupid things that I remember in my head.
So now let's talk about some U.S. soccer, man, because we really need to bring some love to our country, even though it could be boring at times. But this is also going to go to.
We love it.
This is going to go to the inside U.S. soccer as well. Now, 2 goals for Lionel Messi in his debut. It was 1. 2 more goals on the next match against Atlanta United.
So good.
Really, really good matches. So what can we expect now? Because now we've been talking about the hype, everything, the pink jersey, we've been talking about all of that. But really, realistically, what can we expect from Lionel Messi and Inter Miami from from now on?
So I was very skeptical at first because I just kind of had a small vision, but I'm willing to change my mind very quickly just watching the game early on. And it is this. The addition of Busquets that I think we knew, but I didn't quite put together.
Unbelievable.
It's tremendous. He just, because they're not pressing him. He doesn't have to do.
They're not guarding him.
He looks up and he looks around. And he's like, "There's nobody here."
But you would expect that that's not going to last longer, right? I mean, eventually somebody's going to say, "Get the tall, skinny, long feet dude."
Right, but this is a guy who has the best. He has the best training. He was never fast. He was never athletic.
No.
He has the best footwork, the best movement, the best. He can take the ball on a half turn better than anyone in history. And Messi and he have been playing with each other since they were 15 years old. Like, there's a connection on those goals that Messi's going to find the space between the MLS defenses. MLS defense is just like, I don't think people really understand. It's probably the worst part of the league next to the Bundesliga, which has really bad defenders as well. But it's these kind of like, the gaps are wrong. The spacing is wrong. The defensive line is always too far away from the midfield, or the lines are jagged. One guy's too deep. Messi will eat those teams alive. And if you do not mark Busquets when he has the ball and Messi is against these top lines, listen, Atlanta doesn't have a great defense. Don't get me wrong. They're going to pick those passes apart. It's going to be easy. They're going to be in on goal like that all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe they won't lose. I don't put it past them.
Now,
why couldn't they go 12 undefeated with a couple draws, 10 wins and 2 draws?
Well, I mean, but so you're saying it because everybody else is going to be, it's going to suck, or really? I mean, because this team was last for a reason. So yeah, something was changed.
But all of it, all of a sudden, Martino, who they had, Phil Neville was their coach. I mean, you could not go from a worse coach to a good coach, right? Tata Martino has won the league. He won the league with Atlanta United. He coached Messi before in Barca. They won the league under Tata Martino. Yeah. I believe did they win the Champions League? Was he
no. I don't remember. He wasn't one of the coaches that they're proud of, but he did coach that incredible team.
But it's Barca. They churn out coaches all the time, right?
And because of the way they play, because of the way they played, under him, it wasn't a tiki-taka, which it wasn't acceptable. So, But he is a great coach.
All that, but yeah, he had a really hard time at Mexico, but Mexico's just in a downturn right now. They don't.
Anybody that's not Mexican that coaches Mexico is going to have a hard time. That's how they look at it. You have to be Mexican, and but whatever. That's the way.
So yeah, I'm just trying to find how the schedule for.
They don't have very many matches left, but I don't think they're looking at this season. They're definitely going to be looking into the next season. But everybody else in the MLS,
they probably maybe they just don't lose a game easily.
So you think they can make it to the playoffs? That would be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, really, bringing Messi.
Charlotte, Red Bull. I don't even know. I don't know what this means, but I know they play Atlanta and Toronto again. Those teams are bad. Orlando's bad. They have LAFC. Oh my God, that's going to be huge. September 3rd. That is going to be away in LA, Messi, LAFC. That is going to be the most expensive ticket. That is the most expensive ticket that MLS will ever have.
Yeah. Celebrities are going to be there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. So they have Charlotte at home, Red Bull away. So that will be in New York City. Red Bull fans, you don't live in New York City. You play in New Jersey. It's Harrison, New Jersey. It's a pain in the ass. There won't be people there. Actually, there will be, but I'm just making fun of New Jersey because that's what I do. Nashville, I don't even know about that team. Sporting KC at home. Oh my God. Home for them. Sorry, I was going to say.
They play against they don't play against St. Louis. They already played. So
not in St. Louis. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how good any of these teams are. There's no reason they can't beat them all. Yeah. They had been they still have not won in the league. They're still on an winless run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games winless. What is this game that they just played? It was a Leagues Cup game?
Yeah, a Leagues Cup. Yeah. I believe it was a Leagues Cup.
When are they going to play an MLS game?
And that's the thing. It's so confusing. I mean, they just don't. I wish they would just make a league parallel to everybody else. And freaking, I know they have to, and that's the problem because they have to share stadiums with every single baseball or baseball or football stadium that's already built, so they can't play during the season that those teams play. So a bunch of these, it's just you build your own damn stadium. Be like self-sufficient, man. Stop worrying about, and I get a lot of these teams don't have enough money, whatever, man. But if you're going to have a soccer team, more than likely you have a millionaire or billionaire as an owner, and you should be able to afford a damn stadium. Or you can just have a stadium like Miami, which fits 3 people. That's fine, but it's theirs. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to go to the Dolphins and share a stadium. It would be nice. You know, I'm telling you, they would fill it up.
Yeah.
But anyways,
so my thing with Messi is I think that it's possible that they could run the table if they could lose that many games. Maybe they're. I don't really have a sense of what Messi means. Like, you know, we've seen players come into the league and they kind of can't affect games, but they've never come in with teammates that they played with when they were 15 years old.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's gonna be Messi, Busquets, Iniesta, Jordi Alba, that's something else, right? They can just tell the other guys, listen, you guys are going to do all the running. We're going to do all the scoring. Just follow our leads. We got this because we're 4/10 of the greatest team that ever was assembled. And you can put that in the books because the 2009 Barca team literally was the best team that ever was, potentially. Right?
Okay. Now, just quickly breakdown of what's happening with the future of the United States men's national team. We have a few players that we can just glance over. We don't have to go crazy, but I actually took a look at this article written by ESPN, and I mean a lot of young players that play in Europe that I wasn't really aware of. Paxton Aronson playing for Eintracht Frankfurt at 19. Really look good young talent. Cairo Figueroa 16 playing in Liverpool. And that's really interesting because a lot of these European teams are looking into the American soccer and getting these young players over there. That way they can build them the way they want to. And honestly, they are cheap, but also you got to be honest, the culture is really easy to transition to England as far as just the culture itself. Well, and I'm not saying that any other, you know, we've seen it all over Brazilians and Hispanics.
I watched and listened to Jesse Marsh, and I've listened to a few people around this. And one of the things that's said about American players is, one, they're very, you know, they're middle class, right? It's not a poor person's sport. It's not, you know, it costs money here to play. And so the players that you get that are at that level are supremely coachable, right? Exactly. And they work hard, right? So when you get an American player who's at the level that they're pushing on a national team or pushing at the professional level, they're usually college educated, you know, some of them, or super hardworking, have been, you know, going to games, they've played a lot of games because they do all that travel soccer. So it's not a matter of the technical skill. What lacks in this country is a cohesive coaching at that critical age, that 16 to 20 range, where we lose our players, right? So European clubs are going, oh, this kid is used to playing hard. This kid is used to playing a lot. This kid has a lot of technical skill. From this age, this 15 years old, they can do it. The other thing, and I don't think that Pulisic gets enough credit for that, and it's really a credit to his parents. He was the one. He was the Pied Piper to take the opportunity to go to Borussia Dortmund at 15 years old and build his way up. That is true. It made it a path. That is true. They all could see it and go, oh, if Christian can do it, then I can do it. And that path has gone to Reina, now has gone to all these players that have gone to the Bundesliga and gone through.
And also the Bundesliga is another league that they actually really transition well, even though they don't speak the language. But
that league is very much designed. Is the one league that they play young players, right? It's very, very cost conscious. They don't overspend. It's structured.
Yeah.
Aside from Bayern, everyone is kind of like, they're all close together in revenue. They're kind of insular. It's very German. It's very much about the fans. You play in big stadiums, in big games. Yes, they don't break transfer markets, but within the Bundesliga itself, it's a really well run and supported league, with the 51% rule around how they can't have Qatari ownership. They can't have sovereign wealth funds. It has to be 51% controlled by
and like you said, I
supporters.
think Pulisic doesn't get much credit for that, and of course all the players that went after that as
That's
well.
hard, man. 15 years old. That's
But
really hard.
but you have to have the conscience to understand. Look, this is where we need to be at, and and so because Lennon Donovan, who a couple of weeks ago wanted Pulisic to come back to the MLS, just because. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, just to follow his footsteps, because he went to Bayern Munich for 3 days and then came back because he couldn't.
No, not Bayern Munich. Don't give him that much credit.
I'm sorry.
He went to Bayern Leverkusen.
Right, Bayern Leverkusen.
He went to Leverkusen and was homesick and came home.
Exactly. So,
another one was like Jordan Morris, who didn't want to leave his home in Seattle because he wanted to play with his dog.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want those players on my team.
Exactly.
I want the guys who want the best. Exactly. I want that American kid who's like, I'm playing for Real. That's my whole goal. That's all I want to do.
That's the way it should
be. Kid? That's what we need.
That's the way it should be, and that's why I always liked I forgot his name now, man. He played for Seattle when he came back from Fulham. He played Fulham and he played Tottenham.
Dempsey.
Dempsey. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot his name. But that's why I like Dempsey, because he did the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, he came back for a few for a season to the MLS, and then he tried to go back to England. He went back to Fulham, and he fought for a spot at Fulham in the first time, and then he went to Tottenham.
League. He went to Spurs to play for the Champions League.
And then he went to Tottenham. So you know what I mean. He was and a lot of those goalkeepers did. Also, Howard was out there for 1,000 years. Gusan was there. Frito was there for a million years.
Guzan.
And
so I think the all-time leader in appearances.
We were known for goalkeepers in the Premier League. So it was time to change it. I think again, Dempsey was one of them, and Lennon Donovan, who was the best player in the MLS for a long time, and the U.S. Captain, should have led a different. I'm not saying telling how they should live their life, but as far as an example for the sport,
he was missing something.
I don't think he grew the sport internationally like all these other players did. Honestly,
he was missing something to me, and that's what do I know? But from an external fan wanting the U.S. to be great, and I know when you say things like that, you shit on people's memories of Go USA, the goal Saudi Arabia in 2010. That's not to diminish his accomplishments as a U.S. men's national team player. Yeah. What bothered me was that he didn't want it. He did not want Europe. He would go on loan to Everton a little bit, but he didn't want it. He was happy and comfortable in MLS. And that says something, right? It says, I want to be comfortable. And you don't want players who want to be comfortable. You want players who want to be uncomfortable, right? Exactly. If you watch, I'm going to invoke Jordan. You watch The Last Dance, he would go at guys to make everyone uncomfortable. Now, I don't want to play with that guy, but he elevated the team. That's how you win. It has to be uncomfortable, because when the shit hits the fan and there's a minute to go and we're down a goal, I don't want you to not show for the ball or hide behind defenders on purpose. I want you to take the ball, turn, and go. And if you're going to be afraid now, when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be afraid.
Yeah. Anyways, last but not least, just a nugget. LAFC. I can't say that ever right, man. I hate it. LAFC is going to get Spanish striker Mario Gonzalez from SC Braga. So the MLS teams are going to, now that Messi is here and seeing how he's destroying 2 games in a row now, everybody else is going to have to start signing players up. And really, you know what I'm saying?
Because, I mean,
it can't just be, maybe this is, we don't have relegation, of course, but maybe this is a motive of like, hey, let's not let this short dude who came to retire embarrass us like he's been embarrassing so far. You know what I mean? All these teams. Maybe that does do that, because it does bring up the competitiveness and also, the level of play here in the sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I there is a desire, especially now that if you take a step back and you look at the league as it was before Messi arrived, there was no marquee or star player in MLS. You sort of had the LAFC thing. You have the great story in St. Louis, but that's a local story, right? There's a couple of championship players. Surridge came off, but once Messi is in the league, then that says to other players, if I go to that league, then I can be in the same light. I can be in his shadow. I can be.
And not only that,
him.
I mean, just the mere fact that a lot more people is watching. I think Apple TV, after Messi arrived, they're going to reach up to 1 million subscribers now. And so,
yeah,
hey, it's time. People, the eyes are on this league right now. It's time to showcase my talents, and maybe bring
also,
up.
Who do you think you are? If this league is good enough for Messi, it's good enough for you.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Now, we can make the same argument for the Saudi league with Cristiano, and I think he probably did have the same thing. And they are similar. They are similar in stature in that it feels like you disappear a little bit. The advantage of the U.S. is the infrastructure for sport in this country is beyond
better,
the level of any country in the world. We have stadiums upon stadiums upon stadiums. I bet you if you went through and looked, the majority of the stadiums in this country are built in the last 20 years, right?
Right.
Because we just make new shit, right? We got
the money for it.
We don't have anything like Anfield. We don't have anything like Bernabeu or Camp Nou or anything like that. But what we have is new, beautiful stadiums. I was just in one, Snapdragon in San Diego. It was easy to get in. It was easy to get out. Bathrooms, stairwells, such a delightful place to be in. And that's because it's brand new. It's none of these freaking turnstiles that are 3 feet wide or going through someone's house like in Luton Town where you have to get into the stadium through someone's backyard. I mean, this is real shit that teams in Europe play in. Or Braga, the player we're just talking about, the back half of the stadium is a rock quarry. There's literally a giant stone wall as one of the ends of the pitch.
A famous case of Boca Juniors can't make their stadium bigger because people don't want to sell their houses to the team that live right across the street. So they're like, I don't want to sell my house. So so that's how it is. But anyways, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching. The show is brought to you by topfcnews.com. Don't forget to visit the website. That way you stay up to date on the latest news of the greatest sport in the world. Laurent, thank you so much for being here, man.
Sorry, I dropped out for a second there.
Oh, no, you're good. All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.